My name is Michael Carter. I'm 31, and I used to believe in family. I was raised in a picture-perfect house in Denver. Fresh-cut lawn, white fence, parents who smiled for photos, but never really looked at me. My father, Gregory, ran a real estate firm. My mother, Evelyn, managed the home and the family image. And my older brother, Daniel. Daniel was the golden child. Ivy League. Six-figure job before 30. The type who made you feel small just by breathing in the same room. I didn't hate him. I just hated what I became next to him. I was the quiet one, the artist, the dreamer. I studied film, wrote screenplays, and made indie projects with borrowed cameras and favors from strangers. My parents called it cute until I turned 28. Then they called it irresponsible. But one person always made me feel like I mattered. Her name was Jenna. We met at a local film festival. She was volunteering. I was screening a short that bombed. She still said it made her cry. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Jenna was grounded, kind, beautiful in a way that made you want to write poetry you couldn't read out loud. She worked in PR, stable, sensible, the kind of person my parents would approve of if I were Daniel. But she loved me. She saw things in me I couldn't. For 2 years, she was my peace. We made it work through the rejections, the broke months, the failed pilots. One day you'll write something big, she'd whisper, and I'll be right there when you do. I brought her home for Thanksgiving the year everything started to fall apart. She wore this soft cream sweater, hair tied back, nervous as hell. They'll love you, I said. I lied. My parents greeted her politely, but I saw the quick glances they exchanged when she said where she worked. When she asked about my latest script, my mother smiled tightly and changed the subject. Daniel, of course, charmed her instantly. He poured wine, told stories about high-profile clients and international trips. Jenna laughed. I died a little. I knew that laugh. It wasn't fake. She admired success. Who doesn't? After dinner, I stepped out to take a call from a producer who was ghosting me. I came back in and heard voices in the kitchen. I should have kept walking. My mother, you're a lovely girl, Jenna. Honestly, you deserve someone who can give you stability. Then silence. Then her voice. Michael has potential, but Daniel has certainty. I stood there invisible again, listening to my own story being rewritten without me. When I looked at Jenna later, she smiled. But something was different. It was in her eyes. Doubt. A seed planted in front of the dishwasher. The following weeks were strange. She grew distant, not hostile, just tired. She stopped asking about my writing. She talked more about work. Daniel said this, or Daniel suggested that. I told myself it was nothing, until I saw them together. A Thursday night, I'd planned to surprise her with tickets to an underground film screening. I walked by a wine bar we'd been to on our first date, and there they were. Daniel and Jenna, laughing, leaning close, her hand on his arm. My brother, my girlfriend. I didn't go in. I didn't scream or cry. I went home, turned off my phone, and stared at my laptop screen until morning. She confessed 2 days later, said she didn't plan it, said it just happened. That I was too focused on chasing a dream, and Daniel understood the real world. I asked if she loved him. She didn't answer. That was my answer. My parents called it inevitable, said I needed to grow up. Daniel's just a better match, sweetheart, my mom told me, like she was explaining dinner plans. That week I packed everything and left Denver. No goodbye, just silence. I moved to New York with $3,000, a worn backpack, and a heart like a graveyard. I slept on couches, took freelance editing gigs. Some nights I didn't eat. Others I drank until I forgot how much it hurt to be forgotten. But pain does something. It either breaks you or it makes you dangerous. I wrote like a man possessed. Scripts, stories, scenes born out of betrayal and grief. A producer found one of my short screenplays online. Said it felt real. It was. 6 months later, my script became a mini-series on a streaming platform. It wasn't a hit, but it was real. And mine. 2 years passed. My name started to circle in the industry. Not famous, but respected. I had an agent, a new place in Brooklyn, and one night at a private film gala, I met Claire. She was different, sharp-witted, sarcastic, and terrifyingly brilliant. A cinematographer with credits that made my imposter syndrome scream. She'd read my script, said it made her cry. "Don't do that," I said. "It's always a bad sign." She laughed, and I swear that laugh healed something. We worked together, then we lived together. And then, one cold December night, I asked her to marry me on a subway platform between trains. She said yes. Our wedding would be in New York, small, artistic, everything we loved. And for the first time in years, I felt whole. So I sent the invitations to my parents, to Daniel, to Jenna, not to spite them, just to show them what they left behind. When my mom called, I almost didn't answer. Her name lit up my screen like a flare I didn't want to follow. But I picked up. "Michael," she said, careful, rehearsed. "We got your invitation." Silence, then. "We'll be there. All of us." I didn't ask who all included. I already knew. Daniel, Jenna, my replacement family. Claire knew the story. Every broken piece. She'd heard it late at night while we shared wine and battle scars. She didn't ask me to cancel the invitation. She just said, "You sure you're ready to see them?" I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. "Let them see me," I said. "Really see me." Claire smiled, kissed my hand. "Then let's give them a show." The venue was an old restored library in Brooklyn. Tall windows, creaky wooden floors, candlelight reflecting off vintage books. It was Claire's dream, and now mine too. The night before, we stayed up finalizing the playlist, sipping tea and talking about how far we'd come. "This life," she whispered, "we made it from nothing." And I thought about it, about the boy who'd once slept on a friend's futon, surrounded by rejection letters and grief. That boy had vanished. What stood now was a man, scarred, but standing. The day of the wedding, I stood near the entrance in a fitted black suit, watching as guests arrived. Friends from New York, people from the industry. The producers who once ignored me now shook my hand like old allies. I smiled, thanked them, moved on. Then I saw them. My mother, hair in a tight bun, pearls gleaming like armor. My father beside her, stiff in a gray suit. Daniel, taller, broader, the same smug confidence. And Jenna, dressed in deep green, elegant as always, but not radiant. Her eyes searched the room before they landed on me. She froze. Claire walked up then, stunning in a simple white dress, her dark curls loose, her presence electric. The room seemed to bend around her. She slid her hand into mine and kissed my cheek. I looked over Jenna's shoulder and saw it, my parents' expressions cracking. My mother's lips parted just slightly. My father blinked like he didn't recognize the scene. Daniel, he clenched his jaw. Claire turned to them with a smile so graceful it sliced. "You must be Michael's family," she said, extending her hand. My mom hesitated, then shook it. "You're lovely." Claire nodded. "Thank you. Michael's told me a lot." And somehow that sounded more dangerous than it should have. Dinner passed with awkward civility. Toasts, laughs. But I noticed the way Jenna kept glancing across the room. Not at me, at Claire, studying her, trying to place her. She wouldn't figure it out until later. Claire's name wasn't Carter, and the press hadn't covered our relationship much, but they'd find out. Everyone would. Later, during a quiet moment before our first dance, I saw Daniel approach the open bar. Alone, I followed. "Didn't expect this," he muttered, not looking at me. "Yeah," I replied. "It's real. Took a while to build." Daniel sipped his drink. "She's, impressive." "She's everything," I said, and I meant it. "You seem tired," I added. He flinched. "A lot on my plate." "Sure none," I said, letting the silence speak. We danced, we celebrated. Claire shined like a spotlight, stealing everyone's breath. I caught Jenna watching us during the final toast. Her glass untouched, her posture too stiff. And for a moment, I almost felt pity. Almost. That night after the guests left and the last candles burned low, Claire and I sat on the balcony of our loft, overlooking the skyline. "They didn't say much," she said. "Didn't have to," I replied. "They saw it. That's enough." Claire turned to me, eyes gleaming. "You're not him anymore, Michael." I nodded. "I know. And if you're still listening, and you've ever been told you're not enough. Just remember, you don't need their permission to succeed. You just need to start. If that story speaks to you, consider subscribing. There's more where this came from. We kissed under the New York sky, stars drowned in city glow. Somewhere in a silent Denver house, someone was replaying the night in their mind, asking themselves how they let it all go, how they let me go. They'd learn the rest soon, because this story wasn't over. The next morning before the sun rose over Manhattan, it began, subtle, surgical. Claire and I sat in our kitchen, her sipping coffee, me reviewing a script draft, when her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, smiled faintly. "They're digging," she said. "Let them." A small arts blog published a feature that day, From Shadows to Spotlight, the visionary behind Carter's rise. It wasn't an attack, just truth. Claire's past, her early projects, her production work, her collaborations with my scripts, her role in everything I'd built, and one paragraph, just one, mentioned her former job, a PR consultant at the firm where Jenna worked. 3 years ago, long before Claire and I met again, but not before she'd met Jenna, or Daniel, or my mother. My mother had once told Claire, then just that assistant girl bringing coffee, that she should learn to blend in. Jenna had dismissed her at a meeting for being too bold. Daniel had barely remembered her name. They remembered now. By noon, I received a text from my mother. "Can we talk?" I ignored it. The next day, an industry newsletter ran a follow-up piece. Michael Carter's creative partner is the PR visionary his ex-fiancée once undermined. It wasn't written to humiliate, but the internet doesn't care about tone. The comment sections erupted. Screenshots of Jenna's wedding photos, speculation, names were connected, and the timeline wasn't kind. Suddenly, Jenna was the woman who left the struggling writer for his successful brother, only to attend the wedding of the man she'd called a risk, now marrying the woman she once belittled. But the real knife came 3 days later. Claire released her new documentary. She'd been working on it for 2 years, under wraps, under a pseudonym. It was called Exit Strategy, a searing, intimate look at how corporate power silences voices in the arts. Names weren't mentioned, but the storylines were unmistakable. A young woman in PR, a family with legacy, a brother favored, a betrayal dressed as advice, and then redemption, through love, through rage, through art. The film premiered on an indie streaming platform and went viral in 48 hours. My inbox exploded. Claire's phone never stopped buzzing. Industry friends texted us things like, "Holy shitey, they didn't see that coming." Jenna, silent. Daniel, unreachable. My parents, still trying to act like nothing had changed. I got a call from my father that Sunday. I didn't pick up. He left a voicemail. "Michael, this is your father. Your little project is causing a mess. I think it's time we—" I deleted the rest. Little project, huh? That little project was now being optioned by major platforms. Meanwhile, Claire and I just kept working, undisturbed, unapologetic. It wasn't about revenge, not directly. It was about the reckoning. People ask me in interviews, "Was Exit Strategy inspired by your life?" I always said, not entirely, but I recognized the pain. That was enough. Jenna finally reached out 2 weeks later. An email. Subject: "Can we meet?" No greeting, just a few sentences. I didn't know. I didn't understand. I think I made a mistake. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a full 5 minutes. Claire walked in, saw the email, read it silently and said, "Want me to answer for you?" I shook my head. "No need." I wrote back, "You made your choice. This is ours. Good luck with yours." She never replied. Meanwhile, Daniel's company, once thriving, faced a massive client pullout. Some claimed it had nothing to do with the documentary. Others said investors lost confidence in the leadership. My mother called again. I picked up this time. She sounded small. "Michael," she whispered. "I didn't realize Claire was human," I asked. "Talented?" Silence. Then, You've changed. No, I said. You just never saw me. I hung up. Later that night, Claire and I sat by the window watching the city blink below. You think they regret it? She asked. Regret's not loud, I said. But it echoes. She leaned into me, warm, powerful. They burned the bridge, and I built a castle from the ashes. The next morning we got the call. Claire's documentary had been nominated for a major award. Suddenly we weren't just artists. We were a force. And the ones who once dismissed us, they were in hiding. It was mid-September when Daniel showed up in New York. No call, no warning, just a knock on our loft door. I opened it and there he stood. Creased suit, unshaved jawline, eyes dulled by sleepless nights. For a second he looked like a stranger wearing my brother's face. I need to talk, he said. Claire was in the kitchen, headphones on, editing footage. I nodded and stepped outside with him. We walked in silence until we reached the end of the block. Then he stopped, hands buried in his coat pockets. Everything's falling apart, he said, voice low. The firm, investors bailed. The board's talking about replacing me. I didn't respond, just waited. He looked at me, really looked at me. I made mistakes. I didn't mean to hurt you. Didn't mean to, I repeated. I thought I was helping her, he muttered. Jenna. She was confused. You were floundering. You just took everything, I said quietly. Because you could. He blinked, guilt flooding in like water through a cracked dam. I don't want your pity, he said. I need help. A connection. A story to clean things up. Maybe Claire could. I laughed, honest, bitter laughter. You want Claire to fix your life? I said. The same Claire Mom told wasn't classy enough to work with you? He looked away. Daniel, I said, stepping closer. You're standing in front of the man you stepped on to climb. Now you're falling, and you want the elevator back. I didn't come here to beg, he said, straightening. Yes, you did. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off. You didn't just steal a girlfriend, Daniel. You helped break a man. You stood by while our parents dismantled me. And now you want me to throw you a rope? The man who watched me drown? He said nothing. I leaned in. You're finished here, Daniel. I handed him a flash drive. Everything you did? All the emails? All the deal? I kept copies. You'll be in the press by Friday. His mouth dropped open. You're bluffing? I smiled. Try me. He took the flash and left. No more words, no more excuses. When I got home, Claire was still editing. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I said, sitting beside her. I'm done waiting for closure. We spent the evening finalizing her speech for the awards, but in my mind something shifted. A weight lifted. For the first time in years, I felt air in my lungs again. Clean air. My own. Jenna sent one last message that week. Daniel's leaving. He blames you. My life is chaos. I'm sorry, Michael, for all of it. I miss who we were. I didn't answer. I didn't even feel anything. Some stories don't deserve sequels. The week Claire won her award, the story hit every major outlet. An expose, not ours but triggered by our wake. It detailed Daniel's firm, the misappropriated funds, the backdoor deals. His face on every news site, his name trending for all the wrong reasons. And my parents? Silent. That silence was the most honest thing they'd ever given me. If you've ever been told you won't make it, if they replaced you, erased you, broke you, know this. You're not done. You're just getting started. If stories like this hit home, subscribe. I promise you're not alone. Claire and I flew to Italy a week after the award ceremony. A break. A breath. One morning we stood at the edge of Lake Como, the wind soft against her dress, and she said, "He thought he broke you." I nodded. He didn't realize I was just bending. She smiled, took my hand. The empire they built, it was gone, and no one even noticed it fall. When we got back to New York, the dust had already settled. Daniel resigned quietly. Official statements polished with PR fluff spoke of new directions and personal priorities. But the whispers behind closed doors told the real story. His firm dissolved within 6 months. Jenna disappeared from social media. Rumors said she moved back to Portland, alone. My parents never reached out again. No apologies, no explanations. They just vanished from my life. And somehow, that was enough. Claire and I didn't celebrate. We didn't gloat. We just lived. We poured everything into our projects, built a small creative house that produced short films, documentaries, and real stories. Stories the world didn't want to hear until someone shouted them through art. We called the company 10 Frames, a nod to the moment in every film where truth breaks through. Just 10 frames. That's all it takes to change a life. 3 years passed. We got married again. Not the public wedding, just the two of us, in a mountain cabin in Vermont. No cameras, no guests, just vows whispered over candlelight and the sound of rain tapping glass. Sometimes I still walk the city at night, alone. Not out of sadness, but to remember. To remember the version of me they left behind. The version I buried, the version that rose. One evening I got a letter, handwritten, from my mother. Michael, I saw the news. You're doing well. I don't expect forgiveness. But I want you to know, I was wrong. About Claire. About you. Your father passed last month. I didn't know who else to tell. Take care. Mom, I read it once, then again, and then I put it away. Claire never asked what it said. She just touched my hand when she saw my face and whispered, whatever it was, it's done. And she was right. There's no grand revenge speech, no final confrontation, just silence and peace. That's the part no one tells you. Sometimes winning isn't loud. It's waking up in a home you built with someone who believes in you. It's drinking coffee with no fear in your chest. It's creating something honest, something yours, and knowing no one can take it. One morning, I stood in front of a class of young writers at a guest lecture. A student asked, how do you write something powerful when the world doesn't believe in you? I smiled. You write it anyway, and then you make them listen. As the class clapped, I looked down at my notes. At the first script I'd written in that apartment alone, after Jenna left. It was framed now. Not because it was good, but because it was real. Because it survived. That night, Claire and I sat on the rooftop of our building, wine in hand, the city humming beneath us. I used to think success would make the pain disappear, I told her. She looked at me. Did it? I thought about it. No, I said, but it made it matter. She leaned her head on my shoulder. We watched the skyline burn orange with sunset. And somewhere out there, in a condo filled with silence, in a house built on favoritism, someone was wondering how everything slipped through their fingers. They don't know. They'll never know. Because I never raised my voice, never took revenge. I just kept building. Until one day they turned around and realized I'd stolen everything, without saying a word.